Top of the morning to you, cattle market news. I'm excited to be here with you again this morning, getting you caught up on last week's market and opening the door to this week's market, because holy smokes, you can feel that the bulls are alive and well in this marketplace, and it finally feels like the market is getting the attention that it so desperately deserves. So before we jump into the contents of what exactly happened last week, and we'll touch on a little bit of what's transpiring this week already, I want to tell you about two exciting events that I'm so excited to be a part of, and I'm proud of, and I'm just really support. So the first one is the U.S. Cattlemen's Association's 15th annual meeting being held December 8th through the 10th in Nashville, Tennessee. You will not find better people, you will not find better content, and you will definitely not hear from better speakers than what are going to be at that event. So I really encourage you to go to www.uscattlemen.org and get registered for that event, because like I said, it is going to be jam-packed and just absolutely filled with phenomenal people, great speakers, and great content. And then right after the U.S. Cattlemen's Association, DTN is hosting their virtual Egg Summit event, and I am so excited to be a part of their event being held December 12th and 13th virtually. If you want to tune into that, you can go to www.dtn.com/Egg Summit. I personally will be giving a market recap and outlook on Tuesday, and so I'd love to have you a part of that conversation, because let me tell you, I've been working on the content already, and we have so much to be excited for. So two phenomenal events. And I just really hope that you partake in the conversations being held at both of them, because you know what? We have a market that is just sitting ripe, full of opportunity ahead of us, but we've got to be ready to play, we've got to be ready to act, and we can't be caught playing defense in an offensive market. So nevertheless, let's get you caught up on last week's market so that you're abreast on all that's happening in the cattle market. Starting at the top of the report with, as we always do with your Friday to Friday, livestock contract changes. Throughout the week last week, October live cattle gained $1.63. December live cattle fell 28 cents. Excuse me. October feeder cattle fell 92 cents. November feeder cattle fell 85 cents. December corn gained 6 cents throughout the week, and March corn gained 5 cents throughout the week. Jumping right on into that fat cattle trade, man, it is so exciting to see these front-end supplies of cattle so thin, because we are seeing packers have to get more aggressive, and feedlots are kind of puffing out their chest a little bit and saying, we know that you need the cattle, and so if you want to go ahead and procure them, if you want to get them put on your books, if you want to get them on your inventory, you're going to have to pay some money for them. And so it's been exciting to see that we're not trading cattle on a Tuesday, we're not trading cattle on a Wednesday, we are waiting primarily to trade cattle on Thursday, and that's what happened last week. In the Southern Plains last week, live cattle traded for $1.45, and that was considered a $1 higher than the week before. And in the Northern Plains, dress cattle sold for $2.32, which was $2 higher than the previous week. Last week's volume only ended up totaling 75,624 head traded in the negotiated cash cattle market, but honestly, guys, there are just such thin supplies of front-end market-ready cattle that I don't believe that was because packers were able to just simply sit back on their heels and not buy more, aggressively towards that 100,000 head threshold. I really believe it's simply because we are that short on cattle. With that 75,624 head that were purchased, 81% were committed for the nearby delivery and 19% were committed for the deferred delivery. Let's talk about some of the specifics of last week's market. Last week's slaughter was estimated at 660,000 head. That was down 4,000 head from the previous week, but up 17,000 head compared to a year ago. Now, we need to talk about beef cow slaughter. We're talking about the live cattle market, and it's so fun. And you know what? We're knocking on the door of 150. Are we going to be able to see a weighted average of 150 this week? I'm hopeful and I'm excited, but we can't forget to talk about the factory, the backbone of the cattle market, and that is the beef cow herd. And so for the week ending October 1st, 2022, there was 73,700 head of beef cows slaughtered. Year to date, we have processed 13% more beef cows in 2022 than what we had in 2021, and that is 26% more than the 5-year weighted average. Let's talk about your box beef trends. Last week, we saw some pushback on box beef prices. The market just really wasn't warm, wasn't really ready to see prices edge higher. Consumers were just a little bit, supportive one day, not supportive the next. But holy smokes, as we talk about this week's market, Monday's box beef market was higher. Tuesday's midday report was higher. So I'm really excited to see that we're seeing some support in the box beef market again. Last week, choice cuts averaged $246.31. That was down 58 cents compared to the previous week. And so cuts averaged $214.74, down $4.37 compared to the previous week. Sorry about that. Last week's Choice Select spread throughout the entire week averaged $31.57. So tell me that doesn't mean that we're not short on front-end supplies of market-ready cattle when there's a $31 spread between Choice and Select cuts. Last week's movement of cuts, grinds, and trim totaled 722 loads. Let's talk about your carcass weights. For the week ending October 1st, 2022, steers averaged 917 pounds. That was up 2 pounds from the week before and is 1 pound higher than a year ago. And heifers for the week averaged 840 pounds. That was up 4 pounds from the week before and up 4 pounds compared to a year ago. Last week, our import and export ratio was just a little frustrating given the fact that we saw imports totaled 18,666 metric tons, with Canada, Mexico, and Australia being your biggest importers, and our exports only totaled 13,200 metric tons, with Japan, South Korea, and Mexico being your largest buyers. I'm not sure if that was just a lackadaisical week, a low week in the market, or if our US dollar and its strength is already starting to affect our exports. Nevertheless, we'll be watching that very closely just to keep you monitored and up to date on that business, because our export market is extremely important to our markets. Let's talk about your feeder cattle trends here. And honestly, I know these feeder cattle prices are a little bit hard to listen to, just given the hype and the rally and the morale that the markets are, just a few weeks ago. But given the thin margin, the thin margin that feeders are seeing right now when they're buying these calves, they've got to be so articulate when they're buying calves, because with corn prices flirting with the point of breaking $7 a bushel, the fat cattle market not really being quite profitable enough on the backside in the 2023 prices to offset these feeder cattle prices that they're paying right now. They've got to be articulate buyers, and so we're seeing a little bit of hesitation in the market. But nevertheless, last week steers and heifers sold steady to anywhere to $5 lower. And I will give you the region prices starting now. So in your north central region, that is Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa, your 600 to 700 pound steers traded for $1.94, and that was about $5 higher than the week before. Your 700 to 800 pound steers traded for $1.83, and that was $1 stronger than the week before. And your 800 to 900 pound steers, they traded for $1.79, and that was $3 stronger than the week before. In your south central region, that is New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. Your 500 to 600 pound steers traded for $1.77. That was about $1 softer than the week before. Your 600 to 700 pound steers traded for $1.71. That was $4 softer than the week before. And your 700 to 800 pound steers, they traded for $1.71, and that was again $1 softer than the week before. And last but certainly not least, in your southeastern region, that is Arkansas, Louisiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and North and South Carolina. Your 400 to 500 pound steers traded for $1.67, and that was $3 softer than the week before. Your 500 to 600 pound steers traded for $1.59, and that was about $4 cheaper than the previous week. And your 6 to 7 weight steers, they traded for $1.48, and that was about $5 softer than the week before. So you guys, we're sitting on a market, and it's exciting. We have a lot of bullish fundamentals, and it finally seems as though traders are really starting to pay attention to the market's fundamentals and say, you know what, I see the writing on the wall. I see what could happen. Now, that's not to say that the outside pressures of our economy aren't looming, but we have excited things coming. We'll chat later. Thanks again, folks.